Hello, everybody. It's Holger Müller here from Constellation Research, welcoming my partner in crime on our quarterly all things SAP, Martin Fischer. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
Hi, Holger. Doing good. And you?
Can't complain. Too much travel last 2 weeks, too many time zones. Going to India and Asia is always rough to come back. So I'm sleeping during the day and working during the night. I wished. No, it's all good. And we had news from SAP, right? The big conference, right? That's the one where they invite the press and so on to Waldorf, Q4 full year conference happening. And we had a surprise to a certain point, right?
Yeah, actually, first I read the numbers and wasn't too surprised. Okay, they were not as good as expected, but I didn't expect any major reaction. But that proves that I'm not a financial analyst and not a stock market expert for sure, because they had obviously different feelings about the numbers. And yeah, SAP, the stock lost, I think, about 16% in a day. That was the blackest day, if you would say so, since the big shock in 2020 during the pandemic, when Christian Klein said that they will not reach their strategic target as soon as they were forecasting back then, originally. So yeah, obviously, or actually, it also still questions me what the big surprise is, but I think in general, the explanation is not just about SAP. It's probably the whole tech stock market thing, with probably also an AI bubble, I would say.
Yeah, good point. Possible, right? Tech markets are on the pullback because of exchange rate changes and so on. But I think, to me, the crux of the problem is and remains what we've been saying all along since a long time, is that SAP has not addressed the core problem, which is why should customers upgrade to S4HANA? And with S4HANA, they create cloud revenue. And cloud revenue is where their numbers in terms of backlog have gone down. And normally in the Q4, which is SAP's strongest quarter, you should see these numbers going up, right? Normally. You can make the case, of course, of your SAP and saying, look, we evened all this out so well with our cloud revenues that Q4 is not even this big quarter like it used to be. But we saw overall numbers that Q4 was a bigger quarter, right? So I think it leads to our second topic we don't have to jump into, right? The preview of what SAP has to happen to keep their customers happy in 2026. But it shows the crux of the problem that, yes, SAP can do incentive programs with Rise and with Grow, and they pick up some customers with that. And then towards the end of the financial year, or now it's 2 years since Grow was launched, they run out of steam, right? They skimmed off the customers which are susceptible, which see the value proposition in these programs, and then comes back to the customer and say, like, why should I upgrade, right? The interesting thing is, for me, if it will repeat something which was last year SAP saw significantly upgrades in Q1 to cloud. And I was thinking, hey, my theory was AI saves everybody. It saves SAP too. The customer said, why should I upgrade? Realize they have to be in the cloud to get the elasticity of the cloud. We then saw in the Q2 and Q3 and now the Q4 numbers that that's not really working for the customers who are remaining. So difficult situation, in my view, if you don't hit the value proposition for customers for doing upgrade, and you rely on the upgrade as a KPI for the financial market. So
that's true, but and I fully agree what you said about the value prop, and that it's hard to still find a business case for it. But for me, I think it proved again that there's such a big disconnect between the financial market and the financial analysts and what they care about, and the whole, I would say, tech analyst and customer and partner bubble where we are in, because for me there was not really a reason for that always going higher in the stock market till last February, because if you listen to customers and their feedback, it was always a surprise that SAP made their numbers, and on the other hand, seeing a lot of customers not being satisfied about what SAP is delivering, and they're you must say they force them to go to the cloud with not really seeing the point into it, and honestly, from a technology perspective, the private cloud setup is for sure somehow a cloud setup, but the elasticity and all the benefits of a real cloud, a native cloud setup, you don't get it with that setup. So the answer from SAP RISE for each and every question was not always the right answer for me, and therefore, as I said, I was a bit surprised of the reaction of the stock market. You're right with the numbers, of course, and if the current cloud backlog is not going up and up in Q4, that's which is in the whole software market still the strongest quarter ever. So that's really something people obviously worry about, or the financial analysts.
And then the interesting thing was wrinkle, I don't have it in front of me, in the statement is that customers have the right to opt out their cloud commitments, which legally allowed. It was even said something like this, which I'm not fully understanding, because you sign a contract for multiple years. I think SAP is making it harder, or maybe it's the EU or European legislation. You might know more on that, but really surprised about the wording around that. Let me see if I can pull it out in a moment. But just quick disclaimer, right? Neither Martin nor me are financial analysts, so we're talking here about other things. And the real reason, to me, as a product person, as an industry analyst, the reason is really the product value proposition as the crux for SAP.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, also, if you see Microsoft, I think that was 2 days before, also saw a similar reaction on the stock market. Didn't have a look into their numbers, but just read the news about it. And there's also, I think there's an AI bubble which is very heated, and there's also actually, I think Satya Nadella himself said it, that probably the business case and the business model for all traditional software vendors will change over time, and that AI will replace all the business software. Well, I don't see that coming at the moment, but for sure, if there is one use case which is very strong with large language models, software programming or software development is for sure one of it. It's all a bit heated on the one hand side, and on the other side there are also good reasons for that reaction, but I think it was a bit too strong.
I can't comment if it's too strong or not too strong, right? But absolutely, the software market is changing, AI is changing everything, but your customer's commitment for using you, which is on the cloud spend plans and the ARR, if they go down, it's always a warning sign, right? And it means that customers don't want to spend the amount they originally were spending or wanting to spend with you. So, or which theoretically can be that SAP is discounting more, and this is why there's less numbers being added, which is also an option, which I haven't heard yet, that discounting's been up. Traditionally, discounting has been very strong in Q4, as we know, right? The smart SAP buyer would wait for Q4. The smarter ones, even between Christmas and New Year, in the good old days of client server, and get their best rates in there.
I just read before. Sometimes I try at least to prep, even if people don't realize. I read an article which was based actually on an interview with Dominik Asam, the CFO of SAP, and he said, the negotiation at the end of the finalizing the deals also got more complicated because of the geopolitics at the moment, and he talked about the more complicated cloud setups, and I think there we see the sovereignty topic reflected there, and I can imagine that Especially European customers are not that eager to, or at least think about it twice, to go on an American hyperscaler infrastructure. That I think is a valid reason at the moment for probably postponing signing some deals at the moment. And on the other hand, I think, at least that's my view on it, there is not really another infrastructure at scale ready for those customers.
So that's an excuse for other reasons that you're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
But you mentioned Satya Nadella, which is interesting, who's like not helping the whole industry, and I'm trying to make sense of his statement that agents will eat up SaaS, right? And then the same 3-minute video which came out of him, the statement saying, oh, but then we see more sales of Dynamics, which is their SaaS offering, because those agents call backend APIs, right? So his logic, I have not seen his full explanation. He's no question, he's a smart guy, and he has thought this through. And definitely, agents disrupt things, and AI is disrupting, changing everything. But I'm thinking the same thing what he said, right? What I see in the implementations is that the backends need to be used more, right? I mean, if I have a backend who's done for 2,000 human users, and now I run like 4 or 5 agents per human user, first of all, I have to work technically that backend scales. This is why it should be in the cloud. This is why any company is saying, oh, I'm using the sovereign cloud argument against US tech stacks and so on against that. I mean, if you just think of the implementation times, you'll have a different administration in the US with term limits in 2.5 years anyway, right? So when you go live, it might be a very different US, depending on the perspective, without getting in the politics here. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense as an argument to delay things for that reason. And then on the flip side, Amazon, right, just launched the biggest commitment, a $7 billion commitment with Brandenburg as a sovereign cloud, right? So those excuses are also running away. Equally, like SAP, I think it was even 20 billion SAP wants to spend on sovereign cloud, right, which is a humongous amount. So I think the sovereign cloud excuse not to move to cloud has been a strong argument in 2025. The realization of at least the CIOs and CTOs has to be, guys, there is no European sovereign cloud in that sense, right? Despite all those efforts. And if my view is, and I said this as a European, if Europe waits for sovereign cloud to be 100% European to run AI, and even if that works, which they could have question marks, they will have tremendous operating deficiencies compared to competitors in North America and Latin America and in Asia, even in Africa, who don't care and use just AI. So, but we will see.
But maybe it's also the general economy might be a reason for it. I mean, what I hear is even there's no economic growth in the US if you subtract or if you calculate all the AI and data center boom topics out. And in Germany, our economic is suffering since 3 years, I think now. So that might be also another reason which was not really mentioned. But the sovereign cloud topic is for sure, maybe it's postponing things. Just one comment about this Satya Nadella thing. I personally think, and fully with you there, the underlying data models and process definition for running agents, and SAP is owning them, in my opinion, are the things which we need. Of course, probably UI development will not be that important anymore in future, but I fully agree backends are, and we have regulation, we have governance topics in the finance stuff, so you can't just tell your auditor, I don't know how that process works. My agent is running that for me. So I think currently we still need to be in control as humans. So being on top of the process definitions and all that kind of stuff is still important. And I think there's SAP, in my opinion, rather on the safe side.
Right. Absolutely right. And value creation happens at a complex API level, which is in your ERP system.
Yeah.
So the risk for the ERP vendors, of course, that somebody with shining, dazzling front ends through a data lakehouse or API hub or whatever it is, will disintermediate the front end for the ERP vendors, right? Because in the history of software in general, and especially enterprise software, if you lose the eyes and the clicks, meaning the UI and the interaction of the user, you lose in the monetization game. Just because the way how we are wired, we don't think in APIs, we think in tangible things we can see, and that's what we pay for, right? So that's the risk for anybody who's an API vendor, because in the past, anybody who lost the front end to the application would get less for the transaction, unless it was 100% necessary, like the payment APIs and so on, because you can't get the payment through, so you can dictate almost what you want to pay for that. But should we look a little more into the eyeglass, not the eyeglass, into the fairy dust bowl, and so what's going to matter with the glass bowl? Thank you. The glass bowl. What matters for SAP in 2026? What do you think are the things to watch?
Yeah, just one comment about the UI vendors, what you said. So I think SAP should be very safe, because they probably didn't really sell software in the past because of the UIs.
Right, but the combination was unbreakable, right? So
yeah, right. Side joke. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. AI will probably still be the dominant topic, and I've also read some LinkedIn posts from the upper management at SAP outside the board that we will see actually what it's really capable, and that's also my expectation, to see hopefully more really real use cases where we also see an improvement in efficiency and improvement in times, in shorter times to get things done. It's also interesting that that was, I think, not that, at least I didn't see a press release about it, that SAP got a new chief AI officer.
Oh, who is that? I missed that.
Now you got me on the wrong foot. I was already saying we are preparing.
Okay. It was Sun something, right? Out of California.
No, it's not Walter Sun. So Philipp Herzig remains the CTO, but his successor as Chief AI Officer is Johannes von Rüden, I think.
German nobleman. Yeah. No, but you do this like you look at
Jonathan von Rüden, yeah.
Jonathan von Rüden, not from Rügen, not from the island, but von Rüden. Okay.
Von Rüden, yeah.
It's got an English pronunciation game going on here, so but okay, not easy to pronounce. Okay, what did he do before? Does it say? Does it come from the outside or an SAP guy?
SAP guy since 10 years with SAP, approximately.
Maybe he was the doer
coming from Potsdam. Surprise.
Coming from Stuttgart.
No, Potsdam.
Potsdam. Oh, yeah. No, surprise. From the Hasso-Plattner Institute, I
guess. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Okay, good. No surprise there. So you're absolutely right. I mean, I was too optimistic in my predictions to a certain thing. I said 2025 is all about the data lakehouse. Tons of data lakehouses have been announced. They have not been really utilized, so it takes a much longer time for the vendors to provide them and for the enterprises to adopt them. So there's going to be lots of catching up for those who are not on data lakehouse to do in 2026. But then it's really going to be the battle, not because everybody says you have to have the data to do AI. Then it's going to be all about the framework. How quickly can you build AI applications? Of course, in 2026, it's all going to be about agentic applications. I was thinking we'll also shift to autonomous in 2025. Didn't happen. I think we'll shift much more to autonomous AI-powered applications in 2026. And it's going to be a key capability of the framework for doing that, right? So yes, more AI, no question. We might see the peak, a little bit of peak of quantum for business optimization. Right, the quantum machines are getting ready in combination with a hybrid use of cloud preparing the data. You might see some optimization breakthroughs, which we haven't seen before, right? Because they're so good at optimizing things. There's other use case for quantum which might come later, but the nice thing of the business optimization use case, if you have 60 stable qubits or 100 stable qubits or 120, which is all realistic for 2026, you can use them to do optimizations on the supply chain side, on the finance paying side, on the CRM side, which customers to target, which he couldn't do before. So that's an area to watch from the new emerging technology from my side. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Didn't expect that Quantum is already ready for building them or including them.
Significant progress last year, which should be there. And the nice thing, like I said, business optimization you can size, right? You just optimize supply chain, or you optimize finance and supply chain if you have enough qubits, right? So, but already the speed of the optimization, like if you think about large manufacturing models, it even on HPC system, it takes you double-digit hours, right? Luckily in 24 hours, but that makes it punitive to optimize your supply chain every day. On a quantum system, yes, granted the price point is still out. I think at the beginning they will be for free just to show the use case before they get commercialized. You can do what takes an HPC environment double-digit amount of hours, like in a teenage number of hours. You can do this in minutes, which means your supply chain optimization can be done every day, potentially even multiple times a day, which is huge, incredibly huge from a supply chain manufacturing perspective. And same for financial planning, same for CRM, the good old traveling salesman problem, right? There's still sales reps who are visiting people, and those are non-optimized plans. Yeah? Those are non-optimized plans. So being able to re-optimize them if someone does multiple visits, huge potential for enterprises. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's think a little bit from an SAP perspective. I think we'll have to see more rewrites, right? Supposedly Ariba was a rewrite announced at Connect, right? Mythically without needing an upgrade. I don't know how you can do a rewrite without an upgrade, but I don't cover purchasing, so I don't know the details there. But I think we'll have to see more of those in other areas. I think SAP will have to do more on the CRM side. I think SAP will have to do more on the general ERP side, rethinking finance, rethinking HCM, upgrading and bring success factors together. I think you cannot do anything without having the people aspect in there. Just no matter how many agents there are, might be biased covering the people space, but I think there's significant innovation investment needed by SAP in 2026, which should potentially, if they do it in a similar way like they've done for Ariba, again, I don't know the details, should be potentially making the value proposition better for customers. So the cloud backlog problem, the cloud commitment problem should potentially, hopefully, for SAP customers and SAP not repeat itself in 2026.
Yeah. No, fully agree. Or some parts of it, I'm not a tech analyst, so don't know enough things.
We all know we don't know.
Yeah, right. For me, also interesting will be the whole analytics space with Business Data Cloud, how this gets received by customers and how the adoption looks like. That's for me the also interesting part. And still, I mean, we have now 2 years till the end of maintenance of ECC. It also will become very interesting what happens to that still very huge install base, which didn't move yet. And that's for me more on the customer side. What are their plans? Because I'm also really questioning what they are doing and which strategy they are following at the moment.
Well, it will get extended. The interesting thing is, sorry to interrupt you, it will be if there's an AI solution. So similar solutions like Ariba, you can upgrade without having to do an implementation. Or if there are AI solutions to move your upgrade from ECC to S4HANA. Yeah. Which theoretically, setup is only documents, right? Gen AI is perfect at documents, right? You should be able to read an ECC setup and then set up your S4HANA system. Yeah, just saying.
Yeah. But honestly, that was when the whole AI stuff came up, would have been the first use case for which I had in mind for SAP to cover. And even in the code migration area, there's not too much I see, which is really making a significant change. And so far, we will see.
Definitely sleeping at the wheel, also from my perspective. Let's hope they wake up. But that's the good thing, right? If you're awake at the wheel, you can only fall asleep. If you're asleep at the wheel, you can only wake up. So let's hope that SAP wakes up in the whole code migration, setup migration, aided by Gen AI. So
Yeah, and I assume, I mean, that will probably help the SAP numbers to grow, because this will for sure come with a huge price tag after ignoring SAP's urge to move to S4 for 8-9 years.
Yeah, but I think it will be free to help customers migrate, because the price is to keep them then on S4 side, right, and have the cloud revenue. I guess SAP will make that very discounted, but we'll see. Hey, 2026, exciting year. Unfortunately, we have a hard stop. We could be talking for much longer. As usual.
Not me. I just need to go to bed now.
yeah. It's just me. I admit it's my fault. I have another call. But if you hear us, listen to us, thank you for listening. Anything we missed, we should have said. What is your prediction for SAP in 2026? What they need to do, what they will do, what they have to do. Would love to hear this in the comments on our social channel.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Me too.
Perfect.
Thank you, Holger. Have a good one.
You as well. Thank you, and speak to you soon, of course.
Yeah.